What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So today is just part 2 of my previous video. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go ahead and check it out. It's pretty much just discussing my setup for trips, traveling, vacation, comes to camera gear, right? And I've always been a victim. I am the victim, right? That I bring a whole bunch of gear and I never use it. I always feel like I'm just carrying 10, 15 pounds on my back or even more just because I thought I was gonna use a drone and I was gonna use this lens and I have 4 lenses with me, when in reality, that never happens in my case. So this video is just giving a review of that gear I brought. Just to sum it all up, I loved this setup. This has been my favorite setup ever just because of how light. I honestly could not believe how light my backpack was. I remember at the airport, I was just giving it to my girlfriend. I'm like, you have to feel this backpack. Doesn't it feel light? And she's like, dude, I don't get it. Yeah, I guess it's light. But for me, it was a huge difference. And moving forward, this is definitely going to be a setup that I'm gonna continue using. Maybe I'll modify a thing or two. Yeah, I love this setup, guys. I definitely recommend it. Again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out my previous video. It goes into detail more of the gear that I brought out and why I brought that gear out. But today, this video, I wanna go ahead and focus on the gear that I was most happy bringing out and the gear that I did not use, where I was pretty surprised I didn't use that. But we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I'll give you a little details on why I used it, why I didn't use it, and what I thought about it. I feel like, I can kind of relate with my hobbies, right? Like I like to snowboard, I like to mountain bike, and I hate carrying things on my back, right? So like having a backpack, water packs, things like that is just a big no for me. Kind of like maybe it's the reason why, with the camera gear, I just, wanted to simplify it and not carry it. It's uncomfortable. I feel weird. I don't like backpacks that much. This trip, since I simplified it, it felt very light. But when I had the opportunity to not use a backpack, I definitely took it. So I would say my most used gear and favorite part of my setup that I brought with me on this trip, and I'm not gonna include the camera because I think the camera is a given, right? Fujifilm X-T5 with my lens, the 23mm, the ProMist filter, that's gonna go regardless. That's gonna be the most used piece of gear because, I think that's like self-explanatory. My favorite piece of gear that I brought besides the camera would have to be the Peak Design straps. The straps just work so well. They're so easy to snap on and off. And I've had, the body strap for years since I bought my A7 III back 5 years ago. But recently when I bought the Fujifilm, I bought the wrist one because I just thought it was smaller, it would be cooler. But for this trip, I used both. And I think the days I took my backpack, I used the wrist strap, right? It was easy to pull in and out of the bag, snap some photos, boom. I had that security that if anybody would bump into me or anything, because New York was very busy this weekend, then, I had the strap that, would catch it if anything. And then the days that I didn't bring my backpack, I just had the body strap. And the body strap is super comfortable. And I like that it has like these 2 latches, one on each side. So you can make the strap longer or shorter, however you feel more comfortable. Plus I had my bomber jacket or my denim jacket on. So it was like I had the camera kind of covered and it was just very comfortable. I felt safe with that body strap on the camera. And I think those are my favorite just because they worked so well together. It just made the experience seamless. And then for my piece of gear that I was really surprised I did not use, even though it was super light, I'll still take it with me every trip just because it's not taking up space, is gonna be the little dongle that connects to my iPad. I did use my iPad every single day on the flights, listening to my audiobooks or just watching some shows on Netflix, checking my emails, listening to music in the hotel room because the speakers are great. The iPad got used daily. I didn't use a dongle. I didn't really check the photos. I think it was just because it was such a short trip and we were in and out. We were barely in the hotel room, only to sleep. It was like taking the photos, checking them really quick on the back of the camera and, keep it going. And that's something else I really enjoyed about the Fujifilm, and I say it every time I bring up this camera, is just the film recipes. It was so nice I only have like 2 or 3 on there that I use on a daily basis and I already know exactly what they're gonna look like. So it's like Old Faithful, you know exactly what it's gonna look like, they're gonna look amazing, the photos are gonna look crispy. But it was just nice to swap back and forth really quick and having like a short key to go between different film recipes just to snap some photos. That was a lot of fun and definitely it makes me enjoy this whole like ecosystem more. So we talked about the favorite piece of gear and the setup I brought, which was Peak Design straps and how awesome they just snap on and off the camera and how I used each one on days I had my backpack and didn't have my backpack. And then I talked about also my least used piece of gear, which honestly didn't get used at all, which was the dongle. But yes, I'll continue bringing it just because it's small and super light. That's pretty much it. It was just to give you guys a recap on how the trip went. The trip was amazing. I got to see friends and family, did some bar hopping, sightseeing, just walked around, enjoyed the weather. The weather was great. Yeah, all in all, it was a great trip. This was my setup. Moving forward, I'm definitely keeping my setup this small. Can it get smaller? Maybe. There's nothing better than being in an airport, walking around on a trip and just having a super light backpack or not even needing a backpack. So I think that's fun to know that you can actually simplify it and still get the job done. I did want to give a shout out to one of my favorite bands, Misery Signals. They just played their farewell tour. They ended their day. We got to see them here in Denver. I got this cool hat, which today's the first time I'm ever wearing it, but it was amazing to finally see them. That band was like a huge influence in my style of music that I write or how I play. It's crazy to know that that was 20 years, you know, that they were around for 20 years and now they're gone. But I just want to give them a shout out because they were an amazing band. Everyone that's watching, I hope you guys had a great Halloween. Again, this is a community for all of us to grow and be able to feel comfortable to ask any questions. And if I don't have the answer, maybe you guys can teach me as well. So on that note, guys, have a great one. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.